When I was a child, my father taught me about God with a seed. He took it and he showed me and he said, son, he says, isn't it amazing no matter how you throw that in the ground, no matter what direction, if you feed it, it knows where to plant its roots and where to grow to the sun. He said, it's kind of like our faith. When I was a kid, I was born up north in the city, and the story is someone knocked my mother down in the supermarket, and my father found her. Nobody helped her up, and he says, I'm taking you out to the country. I'm gonna raise you on farms. I hated everything about it, from getting up in the morning early and having to work after school. So when I was about 16, I took off to school and I swore I'd never, ever farm again. Before moving to Orange County, I had read Purpose Driven Life, and it was in a small group through a church I was at. And I happened to move about a quarter of a mile from Saddleback. And driving past the church, I said, wait a second, that's the guy who wrote the book. But I hate big churches. So I said, I'll go one time. And I never quit going. And they announced it at the church that they were needing volunteers at the Rancho Capistrano campus. So I woke up one Saturday morning and said, I'm coming to work. One day I was serving on a weekend, and the coordinator had asked me to take some debris, basically, up the top of the hill to throw it away. And when I was walking up the hill, off to the left, I saw a little old, beat-up crawler that was about 40 years old that reminded me of one that my grandfather had when I was a child. And it was at that moment, and I can't explain it, but something just kind of zapped me, and I knew exactly what I had to do. Decided to take what he put in my heart and write it down immediately. And I went and I took it and I put it in an envelope and I mailed it to Washington for a grant. And came home one day, to my amazement, found 800 packages of seed. So I dropped to my knees, I looked up and said, I got it. I got the end. And all I can say is that ever since that day, I have stressed along the way, and God has always provided. Everything you see here, everything it took, from equipment, fertilizers, germinating seeds, fencing, tools, God provided it all. And God continues to bless all the way through the harvest on the farm. This year alone, we were harvesting 200 to 300 pounds of tomatoes a day. We were harvesting buckets and buckets of chilies. We had, I don't know how many thousand pounds of squash, zucchini. We picked bags and bags of basil for people to make pesto. Everything grown here is taken to the food pantry and distributed to those in need. The people have been so appreciative to be able to have fresh food. One lady even called back, which is the most memorable story, is there was a very disgruntled lady who always came upset for her food, but after she received the first tomatoes we grew last year, she called and said, thank you. That was the best food she'd had. Too much of me and human man side wanted it to grow how I saw vision. So now I'm just praying about it, and God provides me the avenue and opportunity. You know, there's always a need for more volunteers, but when there's not, that's just me saying, don't get bigger. So I'm kind of listening, something I wouldn't have done before. And it's worked. And so there's plenty of real estate, and I have vision to see. I'd love for a crop there that could be stored and feed people for 6 months. But I believe God will open that door when it's time. Someone will come and provide what we need.